track is going to give them a chance to stretch out a little bit. They are on a fixed setup, but you know they're going to be running different wing positions. So some of these guys will be running a wing really far forward, some of them really far back. As they line up for heat number 1, we will see what they do. I know a lot of these guys are going to run it as far forward as they can to get as much speed through the straightaways as possible. Looks like Wayne Bridges is lining up out there. He is in the second row in the 92. The 333 is back there as well. That is Corey Goodall. Looks like the 52 is up front, and cannot tell who is alongside him for this one. Once he pulls up a little bit, that is the 32. And it looks like, just trying to do a quick count of the numbers, it looks like we'll have about 3 heats and then a feature race. 8-lap heats and then the feature. So this will be exciting. And Jared Heasley dropping in the chat, obviously not a fan of this track. And it will be the 32 bringing them down. Looks like pace car is going to stay out just a little bit longer, get one more lap till they go green flag racing. All right, going through 1 and 2. Pace truck is leading them around. You can see how wide the corners are in comparison to the straightaways. It's just a huge difference. So they can go several cars wide, but once they get to the exit of the turn, they have to tighten back up, and they can only go down the straightaway about 2 wide. You get 3 wide going down these straightaways, you're going to get into trouble. These 458 horsepower V8 engines will push these cars around the track extremely fast, and if they try and get a little too dicey on the straightaway, as we get the green flag, they get too dicey on the straightaway, we'll see some wrecks, but I know they're going to get dicey as we're already 3 wide coming through 1 and 2. The 32, Dwayne Kenner, already got a big jump on Doug Norton in the 52. It looks like the 74 has jumped up into second place as well. And we are under caution. Let's see if we can get a little bit better angle on. Nope. Let's see if we can see what happens here. It looks like the 92 just slid up. That was Wayne Bridges, slid up, caught the wall, caught a couple other guys, but everybody manages to roll away from it. That brings us under our first caution of the night. Looks like the 92 is going to pit road. And the 32 of Dwayne Kenner is leading the field. Ryan Nesbitt second. Patrick Coluccio is third. Doug Norton is fourth. Corey Goodall fifth. And Ernie Silko back there in sixth. Wayne Bridges still on pit road, but he will get a fast repair and be back out rather quickly. And as they pace around here, we'll get a quick drink, catch our breath. It is going to get very exciting here tonight because these 305s are getting a little crazy and dicey already. But once those 358s get out there, we saw a lot last week. They can bang into each other quite a bit. They can get side by side, leaning on each other pretty hard without spinning. And I would imagine the way this track is set up, we're going to see a lot of that when we get into turn 1 and turn 3. They are going to get side by side, leaning on each other, because 8 tires is better than 4 when you're going around a corner. Pace truck on the back straightaway. Green flag is in the air. Dwayne Kenner's going to lead him down again. The 74, Ryan Nesbitt, there to the outside. He was the fastest car in practice. 74's taking that really wide line through turns 1 and 2. We'll see if that pays off, if he carries the extra momentum down, but the 32 is just not going to have it. He tries to slide up and block the run, but the 74 has a ton of momentum coming off of turn 4. And the front 3 seem to have broken away as here comes Patrick Colucci. Oh, gets into the 32, gets into the 74. Caution is out. All right, there is Patrick to the inside of Ryan Nesbitt and Dwayne Kenner as they come through 1 and 2. Looks like Patrick just drifted up a little too much. Caught the 32, he caught the 74, and that brought out the caution. And as we've seen a couple of times in recent weeks, we'll get a couple of early cautions, and then they're going to go through the rest of the the heats perfectly fine. Saw a lot of green flag racing the last few weeks. And it looks like Skylar Massey turned his computer on just a little too late. Is not going to make it in the 305 race. Will you be in the 358s, buddy? Hope to see you in those later. As we have 3 laps left to go in this first heat, it looks like with 7 cars on the track, we doing some quick math. No, we should still have 3 full heats tonight. Awesome. Skylar is going to try and run the 358s tonight. Be glad to have him back on track later. All right, the number 99 managed to hold on to the lead despite getting a little sideways in that accident earlier. He was pointed almost at the inside wall briefly, but he got it straightened back up. It looks like Doug Norton slipped back into 3rd. Dwayne Kenner slipped back to 4th. And Corey Goodall definitely benefited from that. He is up to 2nd now on the outside. As they come down, Patrick will lead them down. Once the green flag is in the air, Patrick's already on the gas. Looks like he got a little bit of a jump there on Corey. As they dive off into turn 1, Patrick gets a good run out of the turn. That is the 333 of Corey Goodall. He's getting a really good run up off the corner, but looks like Patrick might be getting a little bit better one. As here comes the 32 back behind Dwayne Kenner and Doug Norton. They're going to be the ones to watch come charging up, see if they can come charging back up to the front. Ryan Nesbitt in the 74 is back on track. He is fighting his way back to the front just past the 92 of Wayne Bridges. And looked like they completed the heat. I was not counting very well tonight. All right, heat number 2. Looks like we're going to have the 22 of Chris Standridge out there. We've got the 39 of James Johnson on the outside of the front row. The 44 of Michael Whiting back there in 3rd. The 35 up there is going to start in the pole position. And of course, it would not be a race without that flaming karma car of Gerald Thanos Poole himself. Amazing restraint from Thanos here lately. He has not snapped any of his competitors out of existence for several weeks. But he does have to contend with Ironman Chris Standridge there on the outside, so we will see if that comes into play tonight. Definitely encouraging these guys that run in the SR8 series to do another race like they did last week with all the superhero paints and cars and names. That was just awesome. And while they're pacing around, remind you to go check out the Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch channel. We are live on Facebook and Twitch. And the race videos do go up on YouTube later the same night or the next morning. Just depends on how long the races go. As pace car ducks in, the 35 will lead them down. Coming out of turn 3, starting heat, or turn 4, starting heat number 2. The 39 gets a huge jump on the outside. Wondering if he got a little too much on that restart. We will have to wait and see. Looked like the 35 just did not get started at all. That is the 35 of Drew Warren just had a slow start. He is slipping backwards. Currently, James Johnson in the 39 up in the lead. Chris Standridge second. We've got Drew back there in third. Michael Whiting, surprising to see him back in fourth. I would imagine that's not going to last long, but he has Thanos coming up to the inside. As they start lap 3, not a lot of changing in position so far. We will see what happens top back up front. It looks like the 39 of James Johnson and the 22 of Chris Standridge have just broken away a little bit. 35 of Drew Warren got a rough start. He has fallen back almost a second from the front 2 cars. As we watch him come out, you can see the crowd cheering there. Halfway point in this second heat. Nobody's allowed to stand up on the bridge during the race, just in case, because these cars can go flying if they get a little off kilter. The front 2 have really broken away now. They've got almost 2 seconds on the 35 of Drew Warren, but he is still managing to hold on to third despite the rough start. He does have Michael Whiting, though, closing the gap on him. There comes Gerald Poole right behind him. Gerald Poole looking to the inside of Michael Whiting. Looked like Michael had a little trouble coming off the corner. Let's watch him for this next lap and see what happens. Yeah, it looks like he's struggling. Oh, Gerald Poole just gets way loose on the inside, trying to get around, and that gives the 44 a chance to regain his position. See if the 44, nope, he manages to stay stable on that one. And it looks like Chris Standridge is going to follow James Johnson home. James Johnson's going to finish first, Chris Standridge second. Drew Warren will finish third, and Michael Whiting and Gerald Poole. Let's see how this plays out. Looks like Gerald had a little bit of trouble there coming off turn 4 at the end. All right, heat number 3 getting ready to start. Let's watch some of these guys. Like the 111, Ben Flanagan back there next to the 999. That is Brett Carroll in the 999. We've got the '95 and the 18 on the front row. The number 18 is, of course, Lance Sponberg. As they begin their pace laps. And again, folks, this should be the last heat based on the number of cars, but additionally, they are back to a 0 state. So this will, some of those guys that put in a ton of practice laps, Might have a bit of an advantage when they get to the feature race, but really hard to tell if it will slick off enough that those extra practice laps on the slick track conditions will pay off. This track is unique in that the straightaways are not nearly as wide as the corners, and once the track slicks off here, you will see guys down on the bottom and way up by the wall. And you can see that gap there to the right under the bridge. That has been known to catch a few cars and cause some accidents, but the cars can see that one easier than they can the one by the start-finish line. Is much smaller, but just as deadly if you get into it. So we'll be watching to see. Hopefully none of these guys will grab one of those little holes in the fence and have some green flag laps here. As green is in the air, the 95 gets a huge jump. That's Brian Mansfield to the outside of Lance Spanberg. Brian gets a huge jump on him. Brett Carroll back there gets up into third. Ben Flanagan fourth. And Mikey Mixter in the 77 is currently fifth. The 95 might be on a tear. He may be running away with this thing. It would not be the first time we have seen Brian. Oh, we've got a little trouble out of the 18 car back there. Looks like he managed to gather it up, get it saved before they got into the turn, but he was quite a bit out of sorts coming down the back straightaway. See if he has any problems this time by. Manages to hold on to it, gets all the way down the back straightaway. Looked like he just had some difficulty getting off of turn 2 on that last lap. As they start lap number 4, it is still Brian Mansfield up front, Lance Spanberg second, Brett Carroll is in third, Ben Flanagan is back there in fourth in the 111, and you've got Mikey Mixter in the 77 currently running in 5th place. And it looks like everybody's just managed to put a little bit of a gap on the car behind him, none more so than Brian Mansfield. As we reach the halfway lap, Brian has already got almost a full second on Lance Spanberg. Brett Carroll's about 0.7 of a second behind Lance. Ben Flanagan's another couple tenths, and Mikey Mixter's a couple more tenths back there. So they've managed to spread themselves out. Unlikely to see any cautions. As we get the 2 to go, Brian Mansfield crossing the start-finish line. Watching to see if anybody else has any struggles off turn 2. That will be interesting. Once they get into the feature race with this many cars, you're looking at about 19, 20 cars on track in the feature. Be interesting if one of these guys has any problems. We've seen just about every heat had somebody struggle off of turn 2 or off of turn 4. And once they get in those bigger packs, there is no telling what could happen if they struggle. But right now it looks like it's going to be Brian Mansfield bringing it home in first, Lance Spanberg second, Brett Carroll third, Ben Flanagan fourth, and Mikey Mixter in fifth. Now they will go into their 2-minute warm-up. While they're warming up, take a few minutes and go check out MotoWear International, one of the sponsors for the league, for all your motorcycle-related gear, and B-Make Designs graphic designers. If you need something, need a graphic design, definitely go check them out. And while you're waiting, go check us out on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Give us a like, a follow, a subscribe, share us to your friends. That way you don't miss out on any of these great broadcasts and some rather hilarious races during the week. No huge surprise here. So far, Brian Nesbitt in the 74 is the fastest car on track. But Chris Standridge in the 22 just took that from him. And Chris is always one to watch, as is James Johnson. And looks like they are going to change who's fastest just about every lap here, which means we're probably going to see some lead changes just about every lap on track during the race, as we've got one up in the wall. And he lost his entire top wing. I think he's going to need a little work from his picker. This track is quite a bit of fun to race at, but it can get a little dicey because of the way the track tightens up as you exit the corners. And a couple of fun little spots on the outside fence that could get you messed up if you were running really high. We'll see if any of that comes into play tonight. Looks like Ryan Nesbitt was the fastest. James Johnson, Brian Mansfield, Gerald Thanos Poole comes in 4th fastest, and Drew Warren is 5th fastest. So we'll see how they line up, but interesting to see a couple of new names up there at the front for the feature. All right, looks like the starting lineup is going to be the 99 of Patrick Colucci, James Johnson, Brian Mansfield, Corey Goodall, and Chris Standridge will be the top 5. 6 will be Lance Sponberg. 7th is Dwayne Kenner. Drew Warren is 8, Brett Carroll is 9, and Ernie Shilko is 10th. Michael Whiting, Ben Flanagan, Doug Norton, Gerald Poole, Mikey Mixter, Ryan Nesbitt, Wesley Schreiner, Chris Rawlings, and Wayne Bridges round out 11th through 19th. As they pace around, it is very interesting to see some of these really fast guys are way back there in the back. You've got a Ryan Nesbitt back there. You've got a Gerald Poole back there. So it will be interesting to see how that comes into play as the race goes along. And we will not forget to hop in the car. Once they are up to speed after a couple laps, we'll hop in one of the cars a little ways back in the field and take a ride around this track. You can see how exciting it can be when you're driving a car that weighs next to nothing and has 450 plus horsepower in it. It's not much more than an engine, a metal shell, a roll bar, and a wing. And as we get the 1 to green, it is time to take a big deep breath and get ready. This will be an exciting 25 lap event. Definitely a bit different from what we've seen the last few weeks. They've been on those shorter tracks that were a little bit wider. Now they're on this longer track, more straightaway. Not as wide on the straights, but definitely wider in the corners. Track is very unique in that way, so we will see how that plays out for these guys. But it looks like Patrick Colucci is going to lead them down with James Johnson out there to the outside. Should see green flag is in the air, and the 39 gets another big jump on the start tonight. He got a big... Oh, already having some problems back there. It looks like Patrick Colucci, and we've got several in the wall and a couple that are airborne. Caution is out. Alright, let's see if we've found the right place where all of this started as they dive off into turn 1 for the first time. Looks like the 18 just had a run, caught a few guys up. They managed to save it, but then he gets together with another car and goes for a ride, gets stuck up on the wall and had to get a tow, and that brought us under our first caution. Fortunately for him, the caution laps don't count, and they have fast repairs, so hopefully he'll be able to recover quickly and get back out here. Number 99 of Patrick Colucci, he manages to stay out front. James Johnson still in second. The field pretty much hasn't changed. Brian Mansfield, Corey Goodall, Chris Standridge round out your top 5. Looks like Lance Sponberg is on pit road, so he'll drop back, as will... That was the 18 of Lance Lance Sponberg, and the 424 of Ernie Shilko was the other car that got flipped upside down. And Wesley Schreiner looks like he might be on pit road right now as well. Looks like they delayed the green just another lap. And you can see from looking at these cars, they are built to do one thing, and that is turn left. So it does make it a little bit of a struggle to hold the car straight on these longer straightaways. I expect to see that come into play a little bit, as it looks like the 39's up there having a little bit of fun. And these pace laps do not throw the track off too terribly much, but they do have a little bit of an impact, especially when you put 19 cars out there pacing around. And it looks like the pace truck is finally in. We got rid of him, so we get to go green flag racing. As they come out of turn 4, the 39 holds back for just a minute, and Patrick Colucci gets a good jump on it this time. The 95 Brian Mansfield drops down to the inside. It looks like everybody got through 1 and 2 clean. And now let's see if they get down the straightaway. You see them side by side. They are inches apart on that tiny straightaway. Starting to see a little bit of spreading out back towards the back. And we've got a car around in the back of the field. I believe the 92 of Wayne Bridges was involved as well. That we are under caution. Let's see if we can figure out what happened. All right. Looks like a couple of guys just got in there really hot, and one of them ended up going backwards. That's Drew Warren, ended up getting turned around going backwards. Fortunately, no major damage. The cars that were further back, the 18 is back on track, fully fixed up, so this actually plays to their benefit. And we do have a couple of cars hitting pit road, but it is still the 99 of Patrick Colucci at the front of the field. And if you have a favorite driver tonight, be sure to drop into the chat, comment. We'll try and make sure we get a good look at them. Looks like Ernie Shilko is the only, no, I'm staying correct. Ernie Shilko and Wesley Schreiner are the only two cars one lap down. Looks like Wesley is still on pit road. We'll have to see when they come by. Looks like he may be coming off pit road momentarily. But with only two cars one lap down, these guys will be hoping for, those two cars will be hoping for another caution, especially a guy like Ernie Shilko. We know he knows how to get to the front of the field. As they pack back up side by side, one lap to green, and looks like the big mover so far is the 11 of Ben Flanagan. He has moved from 12th up to 9th. We'll have to keep an eye on him. It looks like Gerald Poole's picked up a few, as has Mikey Mixter. Green flag is in the air. Front four dive off into turn 1. Let's see if they can get around. No problems yet. Coming down the back straightaway, we do have an issue, and we will be under caution again. All right, let's see if we can see what happened. And it looks like the 18 just lost it coming down and collected several cars. including, looks like Doug Norton there in the 52 went for a ride and managed to catch the 35 as well. Looked like several cars might have gotten some damage, mostly Doug Norton though, unfortunately. I would imagine after a fast repair he will be back out and he will be coming back to the front with a vengeance. We know he is fast. Looks like he is already going to come back out. He'll be at the back of the field. I did tell you it would get interesting on these corner exits. Those turns are substantially wider than the straightaway. So when they come off the turn, they've got to be no more than 2 wide. Otherwise, you are going to run into problems like what we were seeing there. If somebody's getting just a little bit too high up in the corners, somebody else is getting too low, they are going to come and have a meeting of the minds right in the middle. As we get the 1-2 green. Pace car coming down the back straightaway. Alrighty, here they come out of turn 4. Patrick Colucci's looking for another good jump down the front straightaway into turn 1. The number 95 directly behind him. And they come down the back straightaway. It looks like everybody got through cleanly that time. Let's hop to the back and watch the 111. Ben Flanagan, he struggled early. He's right there with the 18 as well. 2 guys that have struggled early but are starting to make L's. We're getting some beating and banging back here mid-pack. They are going all out. 7 laps into this race, just barely a third of the way through. Caution is out. We've got several cars, including Chris Standridge, in the wall. All right, let's see if we can try and figure out where this all started at. All right, I think we've found it, but let's find out for sure. We've got the 22, the 39, and the 99 right there. Looks like the 22 got in way hot, got into the leader, but managed to save it. The leader did, and it collected a whole bunch of people when he went to the outside wall, and that brought us under caution. And we've got several cars now on pit road. Looks like the 22, the 74's on pit road. And I do believe that's the 111 that just came off. Yes, it is. That is the 111 that just came off pit road. So a lot of these guys had to go in and get a fast repair just because they got caught up in it just barely. And still got the 99 up there at the front of the pack. Scoring currently shows Ryan Nesbitt in the lead. That is not the case. That is a scoring glitch. Ryan Nesbitt, we'll take a look. He is a little further back. And it's just a weird scoring glitch. We've seen it the last couple of weeks come up. And it looks like they are working to correct it. Mr. Nearhood, definitely looking forward to seeing you back. Ben Flanagan is your favorite driver. as we get ready to come to green. Pace car is off. We'll take a look at Ben here in just a minute as the front four get down off into turn one. Let's see if they can get this lap completed under green. Looks like everybody's playing it a little bit safer this time by, but I would imagine we will have some of that mid-pack beating and banging before long. Oh, there we go. That didn't take as long as we thought it would. Trying to figure out where this wreck actually started at. It is a little bit tricky in these cars. All right. I think we've found it. It looks like we've got the leader, the 99, and coming out of turn 4. He gets a little bit loose, collects the 39, and they collect about half the cars behind him. Maybe more than half the cars. We've got several cars tumbling. Interesting tidbit, the 111 Ben Flanagan drove through that without damage. That is one thing I caught right away as I saw the 111 come driving through. There's a couple of cars that managed to get through that. Despite the fact that it started right at the front of the field, they managed to get through it clean. Looks like the 95 of Brian Mansfield is now going to take the lead. 9 laps into this 25-lap feature. Looks like Patrick Colucci is on pit road. Looks like several others have been and are back off pit road. Be interesting to see if the 99 can get back there to the front and if anybody can beat the 95 of Brian Mansfield. And Brian Mansfield was one of those guys. He was fastest in his heat, ran away with it. He spent extra time practicing in practice, even when the track was slicked off, and he was one of the fastest on that slicked off track as well. So it'll be interesting to see if anybody can even get around him as this track starts to slick off. As they get the 1 to green, it looks like, trying to see, looks like James Johnson is still on pit road. Looks like Patrick is being shown still on pit road, which comes as a bit of a shock. Let's double check that. Yes, I am showing him as being not on track currently. Pace truck is in. And we will see if Brian Mansfield can drive away with it like he did in his heat. Green flag is in the air, and Brian gets a huge jump down into turn 1. He is definitely going to take advantage of that, while Corey Goodall and Wayne Bridges right behind him battling it out. Wayne Bridges came from 19th up to 3rd currently. Looks like he slipped back to 4th. He was caught in some of those earlier incidents as well. He slipped back to 4th, but still one heck of a charge forward. And, of course, you cannot count out the 25 of Gerald Thanos Poole as we are under caution again. Looks like we're going to be seeing Ernie Shilko, and I'm trying to determine who he gets caught up with as they come out of the turn. There's Ernie, gets turned around. Looks like the 77 got caught up in that as well. That brought us under caution. That was Mikey Mixter in the 77 that went flying down the straightaway. It has been a running joke between Chris Standridge and I that one of these nights he's probably going to have to provide me with oxygen. Tonight might be that night. There's definitely a lot of excitement on track tonight, and when those bigger cars get out here in just a little bit, that's going to get really exciting. Looking forward to seeing those boys lean on each other, doing a little beating and banging. They definitely can take a lot more on these dirt tracks, and you can bump, bang, rub into each other without spinning. It makes for some great racing. There's a lot of respect between all these drivers, so they're not out there trying to intentionally wreck each other. They're just out there having a blast. And I would imagine that before the night's out, we're going to see Derek Nearhood up at the front in those 358s. Should be getting one to green. Yes, we are. We'll see if Brian Mansfield can repeat that restart. Now, there is an oddity we have come close to once or twice. Watch for Chris, he's a torpedo. I will keep that in mind. A little bit of an oddity has not been a problem previously, but we may run out of time on this depending. We've got about 14 laps left to go, but just under 5 minutes left to go. So we'll see if these guys can keep it green and get the full 25 laps in. First, we'll see if Brian Mansfield can run away from them all again. Green flag is in the air. Brian gets a decent jump, but it is Corey Goodall to the outside, manages to stick with him, at least down the front straightaway. We'll see if they can. Oh, they're going to start beating and banging coming down the back straightaway, and Gerald Thanos Poole right behind him. The 95 drives down to the low line, using that slick to his advantage, pulling the slide job up the track. Manages to secure that first place position, at least for the moment, and look who it is coming through the field. It is the 22 of Chris Standridge, and we've got another wreck back behind. Caution is out. Got to make sure that they are going to pull the caution, or looks like we might have actually had 2 incidents on the track there. I'm trying to find the first one and figure out who was involved in that. Looks like the 18 might have been involved in the first caution. There was the first part of this incident. As we come back here, we will see. Looks like the 18 blinked out for a second when he reappeared, just got caught up, and then we had an issue right after the caution came out. See if we can see it. A couple of these guys started running into each other on the front straightaway, and it looks like Michael Whiting and the 18 got caught up as well. So multiple issues there on that one. Some of these guys are definitely taking advantage of these quick cautions. We've got Wayne Bridges in the 92. Where is Mr. Wayne? He is right there in that 92. He is in 4th place, started 19th. Right in front of him is Gerald Poole. Started in 14th. He's up to 3rd. Ryan Nesbitt in the 74. We saw him very fast in practice. He's been the fastest one on the track all night. He started in 16th, and he is currently up to 8th. Ben Flanagan started in 12th, up to 10th, despite being caught behind just about everything tonight. Ben's trying to make some hay whenever he can. As they come through 3 and 4, pace truck dives off. We will get 1 to go. Green flag is in the air, and Brian gets a really good jump that time, and he takes Gerald Poole with him. Looks like the 22 might have been a little slow on that restart. He was down low being passed by everybody to the outside. He is trying to run that low line, trying to find some grip and find his way forward, but that outside line is just working. And here comes that 74. We mentioned him earlier. He was the fastest one in practice, the fastest one in his heat, and here he comes to the front. He is making a pass for 4th now. Does not complete the pass for 4th, currently running in 5th, started in 16th, so he is definitely one that is on the move. And the 22 is making a pass for third place. Sliding up the track just a little bit. Looked like he got a little too high up. Tried to save it and allows the 74 to get to the outside. And now you're going to see a good battle for third, fourth, and fifth. Oh, as the 74 gets into the wall, drops down. Manages to keep it straight. He is going to catch back up. I can guarantee you that, but it looks like the 92 of Wayne Bridges managed to get around him for a split second, but here he comes again, the 74 car. Ryan Nesbitt. 9 laps to go. Can he get back up here to the front? Brian Mansfield has not run away yet. He's got just a very small 0.3 of a second gap, and with the battling going on back here, that is going to give 74 Ryan Nesbitt a big chance to catch up. And here comes the 22, Chris Standridge. He is starting to make his way back up to the front. He has managed to get up there to that high line. Moves his way up to third, right behind Gerald. Thanos Poole. Watch out, Thanos. Here comes Iron Man. And Ryan Nesbitt looks like he is stalled in about 5th place. He is not really making up any ground on the leaders. 333 of Corey Goodall right there in front of him. He's going to have a tough time getting around that car. Corey is extremely good in these 305s. But here we come. The 74 major slide through the turn, and we've got cars in the wall in turn 2. Stays green for the moment. Will we see a pass for 4th? And look, Chris Standridge is closed right up on the back of Gerald Poole. Trying to get that inside line, coming off the corner, trying to get any advantage he can. You know, Brian Mansfield is loving this. He opens up about a 1/10 of a second every time they get side by side. Does not look like the 74 can get the job done, at least not yet. The 22 goes full send into turn 3. Can't make it stick coming off the corner. Can't carry enough momentum. He is back in third and lost a little ground. 3 laps to go. Brian Mansfield still leading him around. Gerald Poole back in second. He has lost a couple of 10ths. Brian Mansfield's got about a 1/2 a second lead. Chris Standridge in third. Corey Goodall fourth. Ryan Nesbitt is in fifth. Huge shout out to Wayne Bridges, still back there in 6th after starting 19th. That is one heck of a run. 2 laps coming to 1 to go. And will Chris be able to do anything with Gerald? As they dive off, he carries a lot of momentum down into the corner. Massive slide coming through. Can he make it stick coming down the back straightaway? They both close up a little bit on the back bumper of Brian Mansfield. Chris is going full send into the corner, but it's not enough. Brian Mansfield will win. Gerald Poole comes in second. Chris Standridge third. Corey Goodall fourth. Ryan Nesbitt comes home 5th after starting 16th. Wayne Bridges is 6th. Doug Norton 7th. Ben Flanagan manages to recover after all the incidents to finish 8th. 9th is James Johnson, and Dwayne Kenner rounds out your top 10. And now comes the obligatory celebration, and I would imagine that, yep, he's going to stop right there. These guys will take another lap, and the obligatory celebration will begin. And there is nothing better than watching these Outcast boys celebrate a win. Now, I'm going to be very disappointed if they don't get him outside the fence tonight. There we go. Now they got him about a third of the way down the straightaway. Got him upside down. There, got a good hit. Engine's about to blow up. They better get back up there on track so they can get a good hit. Good hit. Looks like his engine might still be... Nope, he's done. That was one heck of a finish, as always. And we will wait for just a moment. We should get... well, I know we'll get Gerald and probably Chris in here. Hopefully we'll get Brian as well. We'll get to talk to them, get some post-race interviews in. And there is Brian Mansfield now. Brian, congratulations, man.
Man, I finally got one. I tell you what, I just downloaded this track today. I've never raced this here before, and I'm as shocked as anybody.
Well, you were one of the fastest cars in practice. Nobody else is shocked but you, I got to tell you.
I tell you what, I owe a lot to GM and Chris because my Achilles heel is when the track slicks off, and they've been teaching off, and I tell you what, it paid off tonight.
It certainly did. And those cautions, every time you just got one heck of a great restart. There's a couple times you just ran off from the field there.
Yeah, I kind of went back to my racing days with the running straight go karts. That was one of my things. Is I was doing those restarts and heading feel slow, and green flag fail just nailed it.
Well, that was awesome. It definitely paid off. You had two coming for you really strong there at the end, but you managed to pull it off. Congratulations, man.
Thank you, Doug, and thank you for all you do, and appreciate what Chris and everybody does in this league.
Well, thank you. And Gerald Poole coming home second tonight, buddy.
Hey, flying word pounding Adam.
At least you didn't have to worry about gas tonight.
No, I did not. They warned about it before the race started, so I was actually kind of worried.
Well, that was a
But
heck of a finish holding Chris off because he was coming for you in those last couple of laps. He was getting down in the corner hard, just couldn't get back up off of it.
yeah, in practice, I had a fast car. In warm up, I had a fast car. Uh, Obviously, didn't do well enough to start up front, but I was able to take advantage of the caution and sort of weasel my way to the front. And yeah, I got there at the end, and I was kind of already out starting on the inside. But after seeing Brian and the way he had his restart and I figured my best bet was just to get on his bumper and do what he did.
And it definitely paid off. I mean, you started in 14th and made it up to second. That was one heck of a run. And you were way in the back. You got caught up in one of the first or second caution, too.
Oh yeah, I had a fast car and I knew it. Maybe it's a new track thing, but ignorance would be bliss, and we ignoranted our way to the front.
Well, it definitely paid off tonight, Gerald. Congratulations, man.
Oh yeah, thanks Chris and Outcast and everybody and all the drivers. I mean it, great league and everything. So thank you for all you do, and you have a good evening, man.
All right, we'll talk to you later, Gerald.
Later.
All right, let's see if we can talk to third place, Chris Standridge. Hey, Chris, it's Doug. You got me? Man, you were going full send into the corner those last few laps trying to get around Gerald. You just couldn't get back up off the corner.
Yeah, and I hope it wasn't because I drove really well. I feel like I was pretty far on the way up, and was trying so desperately not to just go pretty much off of that track.
Yeah, and it seemed like every time you moved up, you couldn't get the bottom to work. You'd move up, and somebody on the outside would duck low and get a run on you.
Yeah, and like I said, it was prone to full sends out there, and lost them, but I don't agree with that on anybody. So I worked really hard to keep it down low so that there was some room for them, and then they were just getting enough horsepower to just pull right by me. Usually the 305s they don't have enough horsepower to hold me in a low like that. I think it really seems to pull it off, but it's kind of nice.
Well, regardless, you had a heck of a run tonight. You were caught in one of the early cautions as well, way in the back, and managed to work your way back to the front as well.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I said, I hope it wasn't as ugly as it felt.
No, it was definitely one heck of an interesting race for sure.
Yeah, I think we all agree. Taltalugita is a great track, but man, it's a lot tricky. So we'll be careful next time.
Well, it's definitely tricky. One thing that we've noticed is that the turns are much, much wider than the straightaways are, and a lot of the incidents happen right off of turn two where it starts to get really tight. You guys have come off three wide, and there's only two wide worth of track there.
Yeah, and it's you can tell on the track like we don't have 2 3 monitors. The lines actually run together,
Well, congratulations, man. Go celebrate, and we'll see you here in just a bit in the 358, bud.
All right, have a good one.
All right, you too. I see James Johnson just dropped in as well. Hey, James, you got me?
Yeah, you got me.
Yeah, yeah. You had a bit of a rough night. Well, you still managed the top 10. That's a good, at least a decent points night for you.
Yeah, I didn't want too much. A lot of good matches. Just
Well, you definitely had a heck of a run. You got caught up a couple of times and managed to work your way back up as well. So that was definitely incredible watching some of you guys that got caught up in those early incidents come back.
yeah, George Joseph done me over, so I don't want to go back to the ranch and maybe get a trophy this year. That makes it special. Track pulled over to get a send off, and that makes me happy.
That it does. But you at least came home with that top 10. Great race tonight, buddy.
I did.
Thank you. All right, that was James Johnson. He came home, looks like ninth place tonight. And stick around, we will be back in just a few minutes in the 358 big blocks. Don't go anywhere.